So hello and welcome everyone. My name is Frank. I'm the currently seated president of Tiny Home Alliance Canada, entrepreneur and content creator. It's great to see you all here for this panel discussion around our beloved tiny home industry. Today we'll hear from experts in tiny home construction and from the experience of those living in tiny homes today. Before I introduce our panel, I want to just offer a few words to sort of set the stage. So the tiny house movement is enjoying something of a renaissance at the moment, with a noticeable number of people moving towards minimalism, leading to a growth in tiny homes in abundant shapes and even sizes. You might have recently seen your neighbors building a tiny home for their friends or family in their backyard, or maybe you've noticed more tiny home photos on Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook being posted with increasing regularity. What you may find interesting is that they have existed in some form for thousands of years. It's not the case that people have only recently thought about small house living. It's quite the opposite, actually. So when did tiny houses first appear? Cast your minds back to history class in school. Yurts from the East and teepees from the Native Americans were small, ultra-small structures that had many of the required components for independent living. Throughout history, small houses have always existed as a practical and functional dwelling, no more or less than was necessary. It has only really been in the last century that houses started getting bigger. A big house was, and still is to many people, a status symbol and storage space for all the stuff they don't use. Fact, tiny homes are legal in Canada, but there are still a lot of challenges to overcome. Tiny home owners and those looking to make the switch find a new set of challenges depending on the area in which they plan to live and what type of home they choose to build or purchase. The future looks promising, though. The tiny home industry has never been stronger, and that strength is promoting rapid growth. And with that said, I'd like to introduce to you today's panel. So first off, we have Pamela Robertson. Pamela, raise your hand, of Tiny Home Alliance, a Tiny Home Alliance board alumni and co-owner of Sunshine Tiny Homes located in British Columbia. We also have Josh, raise your hand, current Tiny Home Alliance board member and co-owner of Tiny Footprint Homes in Ontario. We also have Barbara Rowe, blog writer and board member at Tiny Home Alliance. Barbara lives in a tiny home near Lethbridge, Alberta. And last but certainly not least, we have Adrian Fedrigo, current vice president at Tiny Home Alliance. Adrian lives in what we might consider a large tiny home near Naramata in BC, and we'll let her explain that one a little later. So thanks to you all for being here today to share your thoughts and your wisdom with us. I wanted to start things off with perhaps both a most general and maybe pressing question facing our industry is, groups around the world advocate for regulating and increasing the legalization of tiny homes and minimalist type dwellings in general. So my question would be, what is a tiny home specifically? At what point is a home too big to be considered tiny?
I've generally heard that a tiny house is under 500 square feet. So whatever kind of dwelling that is, whether it has a foundation or on wheels or just even a skid in the backyard. So yeah, my general understanding is it's about under 500 square feet.
So is this a known number? Maybe even Josh or Pam can speak about that. Is there a known number? Because you hear a lot of conjecture about it. Is there some specific way we can identify what a tiny home really is? At what level it becomes not a tiny home anymore?
I mean, there's a certain point, and I guess from where I am in Ontario, each municipality kind of has their own different set of rules and regulations in terms of what they consider tiny.